Hey everyone, Craig Williams here, back with another video. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about vocal processing and a bit of a plug-in chain that you guys can use and adapt for your vocals at home, so you can get a little bit more professional sound with your tracks and stuff like that. Now, obviously, every vocal is going to be different, even if you've got the same singer and everything like that. So this is just a little bit of a guide. So don't just think you can copy the settings and then it's going to work on yours. This is just give you an idea on the thinking behind processing vocals and what you can do to get them sounding better. So I'm not going to really talk about tuning and timing, because that's something you can do there's like a whole another tutorial on its own. But the vocal, as you see here, would be one that is in tune and the timing is in time with your track. So you get it to this point and now it sort of sticks out in the mix, and this is when you want it to mix it and to get it to really sit in the mix and sound good. Obviously for timing and for tuning, you can use things like, I know Logic's got a built-in pitch corrector which you can use, and there's also a bunch of other ones like Melodyne and a bunch of other different plugins. And for timing, obviously you've got Ableton. It's just got the flex built in, but in Logic you can use a flex time and then sort of flex different words, phrases and stuff like that to get it to sound more in time with the track, just in case the singer was like a little bit off in different sections. So let's get into it. Now first up, this vocal is just one that I found on the internet. It has already been edited and everything like that, so the first plugin is sort of negated, but for when you guys are recording vocals at home, this one is going to be really good. So the first thing is a noise gate. As you can see here on the track, it's pretty much silence until the words come in, and then it just kicks back into silence again. Depending on where you've recorded the vocal and stuff like that, you might have a little bit of background noise, or some of the music might have leaked from the headphones and into the mic. So this is a good way to get rid of that, and then it really cleans up your vocal before you start to try and mix it and get into the track. So obviously this is just the built-in one in Logic. There's tons of different noise gates out there, and all you're doing is just playing around with the threshold. So obviously you want the gate to be on here, and then to turn off when it comes onto the words, and making sure not to cut out any of the smaller words like here.
Don't
so
you be
you can see it's active here, and then it turns off.
Don't be shy with me.
So I found that the best results is to have a little bit of attack and then a longer release, and it allows the words not to get cut off. So if I go extreme,
don't you be afraid,
you can hear there.
Shy with me.
And what it's doing is, if I go to Window and Transport. So just say this is the threshold of the gate. As I increase it, the threshold, this is all that's being let in. And as you decrease it, these are the parts that are getting let in. So if the thresholds, so if you've got a really low threshold, it's going to let a lot of the sound in, but if you've got a high threshold, it's going to cut more of it out. So
don't you be afraid,
and you can hear there it's really choppy.
Be shy.
If we find that sort of magic area,
don't you be afraid, don't be shy with me.
and it's kind of hard to demonstrate it without any noise in the background, but I'm just trying to give you guys an idea of what's actually going on with the gate. So once you've done that, you have a nice, well, semi-nice clean vocal. The other thing you can do, which is a little more time consuming, but you can be a little bit more precise, is just come in and find where the words, phrases or whatever are, and then you can just come along and cut them out so you can get right in there and really go in on the vocal.
Don't you be.
So you're really just cutting everything out, and then this is where you can come in and like here, it's got that little breath at the end. You can go on ahead, and if you don't like that,
Afraid.
that one's kind of needed, but this one here at the start, you can come along.
Don't be shy.
If I put that back in, you can hear it. Take the gate off.
Don't be.
That little vocal there, that little breath in,
Don't.
you can just come along and mute that out.
Don't be shy.
So it all depends if you want those little breaths and stuff like that, or if you want a super clean vocal. Depending on the track will be depending on what sort of style you're going to go for. Next up is a channel EQ, and one thing with recording vocals is you're going to get some rumble through the mic stand and stuff like that. So you can see here we've got a lot of down the low end, which is not needed at all. So
the dark is the deep in your heart. What's your fantasy?
all this information down here, it's just going to build up with your basses and kicks and stuff like that. So there's no need for it. I mean,
let it be me.
If you play it and then
just let it be me.
You can't really hear the difference either way. So all it's doing is just cleaning up the sound a little bit more. You're not doing any more EQ to it. You're just doing a little bit of a low cut. And again, this is just what I do. You can take it or leave it. Everyone's going to have their own methods, but I find this has worked well for me. So people that not really sure on it might help them out. Next up, we've got a compressor. All you want to be doing with the compressor is just sort of taming the sound a little bit more. So when it comes time for you to do your vocal automation, you're not going to have to go too crazy. It'd be good for you so you can you just have it a little bit more in check sort of thing. So for this one, we'll turn it on.
Let it be me.
I like a little bit of a attack
Just
on it.
let it be me.
And depending on the vocal, we'll give this one, we can go like that.
Don't you be afraid.
Obviously, if you
Don't
go
be shy with me.
too over the top with your compression, you're going to start to hear the breaths more and stuff like that. So
don't you be afraid.
Come along.
Don't be shy with me. You can tell me the dark is the deep in your heart. What's your fantasy?
So you can hear that's been brought out a little bit more. So
what's your?
You can hear that. Obviously, it's boosting the level of the whole vocal because you've increased the gain, and so again, what you're doing is transport again. So as you're increasing the threshold, it's cutting these peaks off, and then whatever ratio you've got it by, it's what it divides those peaks by. So I've got it at around, say, 5:1, so that's dividing it by 5, and then a fifth of that peak will be over the top of the threshold. So that's like a little bit of an insight into how the compressor works. But
don't you be afraid.
Obviously, you don't want it too crazy.
Don't be
and obviously, this is going to be something that you're going to be playing with the music to really fit it in the mix.
Don't you be afraid.
Next up is a de-esser. This track isn't too bad with its S's and the ch sounds. So all you want to be doing, you can come along and you can really come in and detect where that problem frequency is, and then you can come and suppress the frequency.
Don't you be afraid.
And then play around with the amount of strength and smoothing and stuff like that to get a really refined sound. But for this one, I don't think it really needed it. Next up, you want to use, I like to use an EQ just to bring out different parts of the vocal if it's needed. So
don't you be afraid.
Again, I would put another low cut on just to tighten it up again.
Don't you be afraid.
And then I would most probably come along and just put in and come along. And I just want to boost a little bit of the highs there.
Don't you be afraid. Don't you be afraid. Don't be shy with me. You can tell me the darkest, the deep in your heart.
We could even boost that a little bit more. And then see what I'm doing there is just by giving it a really low Q factor, I'm getting a nice, kind of like a shelving EQ, just really giving a nice boost to the whole section there. We can come along and just pull the volume down. Obviously you'd be mixing the volume with the rest of the track as well.
Don't you be afraid.
And then once you've done that, some other things you can do to really help the vocal sit in is you can add a reverb. So I've just got a platinum reverb here. It was a bright long reverb setting, and then I've just pulled the reverb time right down, put the wet all the way up, and then changed the initial delay a little bit so we can hear that.
Don't you be afraid.
If we solo that out, you can, hopefully you guys can hear that.
What's your fantasy? Let it be me.
Now you can use reverb straight as an insert, but I find it's better and you can get a little bit more controlled sound if you have it as a send and return. And then with that as well, I've got an EQ on there just doing a low cut, so then I've tightened up the reverb sound as well. And then also something that I like to use is a tape delay, and all that is was the quarter note feedback setting, and I've just changed it to the eighth note delay, pulled the flutter rate and the intensity down because I don't want sort of weird delay sounds going on. So if we
don't you be afraid. Don't be shy with me.
Find that it thickens up the vocal a little bit more.
Deep in your heart.
So if I go over the top,
what's your fantasy? Let it be me. Let it be me.
And if we pull that all the way down,
let it be me.
You just want it a touch so it just thickens up the vocal a little bit more. Another thing to do if you don't have multiple takes is you can come along and add a chorus in onto your insert. Usually before the EQ I put it, but it's obviously just a bit of trial and error to really get it to sit in. And that helps just widen the vocal a little bit more to help get a little bit more, like I said, a little bit thicker vocal. And once you've got it to this point,
don't you be afraid.
You're kind of happy where it's sitting in the mix and everything like that. One thing you want to do is to come along and really, this is where it's really important to do it with the mix.
Don't you be afraid.
You can already see here there's a couple of elements that are a little bit loud.
You can tell me the darkest, the deep in your heart.
So that one, that heart one hits a little bit hard. So what you can do is just come in and just do a little bit of
deep in your heart.
And all it is obviously doing it with the mix, so everything sounds good and it's not too, you're not ducking the sound too much. So if we go over the top, it can sound like this.
Is that it? Is that?
See, you can hear it really duck down, so you want it to be transparent. You don't really hear the vocal automation, you just want it to be nice and smooth.
Is that it?
And obviously you'd go along and do the whole vocal and really get it tightened up that way. And then the final thing, what you want to be doing is for whole sections, if you've got a chorus, what you can do is come along and say these two bits here are the chorus. To come along and just boost them up, because in a chorus you may have more elements and you really want to lift the song, but a lot of people just leave the vocal as it is at the same volume. So what you can do is come along and boost the level of that section, so then the vocal carries with the music, and then obviously when it comes back down to the verse or the bridge or whichever section, you can bring the volume back down again. So hopefully you guys got something out of that. I know it's a sort of a lot to take in that short space. If you've got any questions, feel free to leave a comment in just below, and I'll try and answer all the questions. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to head over to Facebook, give it a like, and get your free samples. And head over to SoundCloud and obviously check out. There's lots of new music coming out, so keep up to date with that. And obviously all the other social network sites and all that sort of stuff. Until next time, see you later.